The small two-room apartment above Mama Ifeoma's canteen smelled of spices, old wood, and hope. For the first time in months, Amaka slept on something softer than concrete. The mattress was thin, the bedsheets faded, but to her, it felt like sinking into clouds. She woke to the smells of frying plantain and the distant clatter of pans downstairs. For a brief moment, she thought she had dreamt it all, that she was still trapped in her uncle's house, or worse, wandering the cold, merciless streets. But when she opened her eyes and saw the warm morning light filtering through a threadbare curtain, she knew she was safe. At least for now. Life with Mama Ifeoma was not easy, but it was honest. Each morning before sunrise, Amaka helped in the canteen. She learned to cut onions without crying, to fan the charcoal stove properly, to stir giant pots of jollof rice without burning the bottom. Customers, drivers, traders, workers from the nearby bus park came and went, shouting orders and tossing coins onto the cracked counter. Mama Ifeoma ran the business with sharp eyes and a sharper tongue when needed. No credit today, tomorrow, or forever, she barked at any customer who dared to plead. Amaka admired her fiercely. Here was a woman who took no nonsense from anyone who fought for every naira she earned. Slowly, Amaka found her rhythm. She scrubbed pots until they gleamed. She carried buckets of stew with muscle she didn't know she had. She smiled shyly at customers and learned to count change quickly, her fingers working faster with each passing day. Every task, no matter how small, stitched something broken inside her back together. But Mama Ifeoma gave her more than work. Every evening, after the last plate was scrubbed and the shutters pulled closed, she sat Amaka down at the small kitchen table. By the dim glow of a kerosene lantern, she taught her how to read. At first, the letters looked like foreign shapes. Amaka's fingers stumbled across the pages, tracing lines and curves she barely understood. "No rush," Mama Ifeoma would say, her voice gentle. "Slowly, slowly, even the river cuts through the rock by patience." Bit by bit, the strange marks became words. Apple, book, dream. Amaka clung to each word like a life raft. They were keys to another world, one where she was more than a servant, more than a shadow. She began attending free literacy classes at the church on Sunday afternoons. There, among other girls and boys forgotten by the city, she sat on hard wooden benches and learned to write her name again and again across ruled notebooks. Amaka Eze, Amaka Eze, Amaka Eze. Each time she wrote it, her heart lifted a little higher. One evening, after wiping down the canteen tables, Mama Ifeoma poured them both cups of watery Milo and asked quietly, "What do you want for your life, Amaka?" The question struck her like a slap. No one had ever asked her that before, not her uncle, not Auntie Rose, not even the villagers back home. Amaka thought carefully. "I want to finish school," she said slowly, the words tasting strange and beautiful on her tongue. I want to help girls like me, girls who were thrown away." Mama Ifeoma's eyes shone with quiet pride. "Then you must fight for it," she said. "The world won't hand you anything, my daughter, but if you fight hard enough, it cannot stop you either." Amaka nodded. Deep inside, a small fire began to burn, fierce, determined, unquenchable. She would not waste the second chance she had been given. Not for anything. But life, as always, tested her resolve. One hot afternoon, as Amaka balanced a basket of ripe plantains on her head, weaving through the chaotic market crowd, she heard a voice that turned her blood to ice. "Amaka." She froze. She knew that voice. Slowly, fearfully, she turned. There, leaning against a cigarette kiosk, laughing with two other men, was Uncle Emeka. He looked older now, heavier, grayer, but his sharp, greedy eyes were the same. In that moment, 1,000 memories crashed into her. The endless house chores, the bruises hidden under her clothes, the whispered plans to sell her like a goat to strangers. He hadn't seen her yet, For one wild, terrified moment, Amaka considered running, disappearing into the crowd like smoke. But then she remembered Mama Ifeoma's words. She remembered the girls at the literacy classes who looked up to her. She remembered her mother's voice. "You are stronger than you know, my child." Amaka straightened her back. She adjusted the basket on her head, lifted her chin, and walked boldly past him. Uncle Emeka glanced her way, their eyes met for half a second. Recognition flickered on his face, then disbelief. Amaka didn't stop. She didn't flinch. She didn't run. She walked on, steady and unbroken. By the time she turned the corner, her heart was pounding so loudly she thought she might collapse. But she didn't. She smiled to herself. She had looked her past in the face and it had not destroyed her. That evening, she didn't tell Mama Ifeoma about seeing him. There was no need. The past was behind her. The future was hers to build. And Amaka Eze, the girl who had once been discarded like rubbish, was just getting started. Hope had a way of creeping into Amaka's life like a sunrise, slow, soft, but impossible to ignore. Every day after helping at the canteen, she would rush to the little cyber cafe down the street, a cramped room filled with slow computers and noisy fans to check the scholarship results. The scholarship was offered by a small NGO called Bright Futures, dedicated to helping girls who had dropped out of school because of hardship. It was her chance, her one shining thread out of poverty, out of invisibility. "Not yet," the cafe boy said day after day, shaking his head with a small smile. "Come back tomorrow, sister." Amaka would leave disappointed but not defeated. She had learned patience the hard way, patience scrubbing floors, patience surviving hunger, patience fighting off fear. "If God wants it for me," she told herself each night, "no one can stop it." 2 weeks later, on a sticky Saturday morning, just as she was stacking crates of Fanta bottles behind the canteen, she heard hurried footsteps pounding toward her. It was Chinedu, the cafe boy, waving a folded piece of paper like a madman. "Amaka, Amaka," he shouted breathlessly, "your name day for list O." Time seemed to slow. The world around her, the clatter of pans, the shouts of traders, the blare of distant danfos all faded into a deafening silence. She dropped the bottle she was holding and took off running, apron flapping behind her like wings. At the cafe, a small crowd had gathered around the taped-up results sheet. Amaka shoved her way through, heart hammering so hard she thought it might tear through her chest. Her eyes raced down the page. Number 32. Amaka Eze accepted. Full scholarship awarded. She gasped, covering her mouth with trembling hands. It was real. It was real. Tears blurred her vision and she stumbled back from the wall, laughing and crying all at once. When she returned to the canteen, Mama Ifeoma was waiting, arms crossed but smiling knowingly. Amaka burst into the kitchen and flung herself into Mama's warm, sturdy arms. They both cried then great, shaking sobs of joy and relief. Mama Ifeoma rocked her gently, whispering into her hair, "My daughter, my fighter, I told you the world would not defeat you." That night, they cooked a special dinner of fried chicken and jollof rice, with 2 extra pieces of meat, a true Lego celebration. For the first time in her life, Amaka felt the future opening before her like a garden gate. School was another battlefield, but this time, she was ready. Amaka entered St. Agnes Academy for Girls with a secondhand uniform, a patched school bag, and a heart burning with determination. At first, it wasn't easy. She was older than most of her classmates. Some of them whispered behind her back, wondering why this village girl spoke so formally, or why her sandals were always worn out. But Amaka didn't let their whispers cut her down. She knew what it felt like to be truly invisible. This was nothing. She worked harder than anyone. She stayed late in the library, copying notes until her fingers cramped. She asked questions fearlessly. She volunteered to read aloud in class, even when her voice shook. Slowly, the teachers began to notice her. Slowly, Some of the girls, the ones who had once giggled at her, came to her for help with their homework. Amaka built herself one stubborn brick at a time. Then, one day, life tested her again. It was a hot afternoon, just after school had closed. Amaka was walking home, her bag heavy with textbooks, when she decided to pass through the market to buy tomatoes for Mama Ifeoma. She was balancing a basket of tomatoes on her head, weaving carefully between stalls, when she heard it, a voice like a nail dragged across old wood. "Amaka!" She stiffened, the blood draining from her face. Turning slowly, she saw her nightmare standing by a stall selling cigarettes and sweets. Auntie Rose. The woman looked thinner, angrier, her expensive wigs replaced by a rough scarf tied tightly over her head. For a moment, neither of them moved. Then Auntie Rose rushed forward, fake warmth spreading across her face. "Amaka, my daughter, see how you have grown. Come, let us talk." Amaka took a step back, her hands trembling slightly. The market noise roared in her ears, sellers shouting, children laughing, radios blaring high-life music. But all she could hear was the memory of Auntie Rose's voice, whispering about selling her for 50,000 naira. "Your uncle and I looked for you," Auntie Rose lied smoothly. "We missed you. Come home, eh?" Home. The word was a bitter taste in Amaka's mouth. "I have a home," Amaka said quietly, her voice stronger than she felt. Auntie Rose's smile faltered. Her hand reached out perhaps to grab Amaka's arm, to pull her back into that old life. Amaka stepped further away. "You lost your right to call me daughter," she said, her voice clear and steady, "the day you tried to sell me like a bag of yam." A hush fell around them. A few market women, overhearing the sharp words, paused in their bargaining to stare. Auntie Rose flushed a deep red, her mouth opening and closing like a dying fish. But Amaka was done. She adjusted the basket on her head, turned on her heel, and walked away each step lighter than the last. She didn't look back. She didn't need to. Some wounds scarred, but they did not define her. That night, back in the apartment, Mama Ifeoma noticed Amaka's strange silence. She said nothing, just ladled extra stew into Amaka's plate and squeezed her hand gently. Amaka smiled in thanks. She realized then that healing wasn't a moment. It was a journey one made up of thousands of small choices. Choosing to hope, choosing to fight, choosing to walk away from the people who broke you and never look back. And Amaka Eze, the girl who once had nothing but broken dreams and bare feet, was choosing to rise. Thanks for watching. Join me next time for more captivating stories. Trust me, you won't want to miss it. Before you go, help me grow this community. Hit that like button for more thrilling content, subscribe for new uploads, Colorado MMEN below with your theories and reactions, share with friends and family who love a good story. I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for being an amazing part of this journey.